Okay, now this is a topic I get asked about all the time, having traveled to so many places. Can I get good boards there, or do I need to bring my own? Now, around the world, there are places that are really good for getting boards and some that are terrible for getting boards. And these are some destinations that might have world-class waves, but they also come with factors that make getting good foam and fiberglass a real challenge. Now, while Morocco has a thriving surf scene, especially in and around Tagazout, finding quality surfboards is tricky. The boards you'll find in Morocco are either imports that have been heavily marked up due to high import taxes, or cheap, mass-produced foamies aimed at beginners and surf schools. While there are some local shapers, the industry is still developing. Part of the issue here is that for shapers, finding good board building material is really hard. This is mostly down to import restrictions, high tariffs, and lack of domestic production. Almost all essential board building materials, whether it be PU or epoxy blanks, fiberglass cloth and resin, must be imported, which means they're all expensive and difficult to source. Shipping is also really complicated, with high freight costs, customs delays, and regulations on hazardous materials such as resins, forcing local shapers to rely on small-scale imports, which are costly and inconsistent. So if you're planning a trip to Morocco, I'd highly recommend bringing your own boards. There are some surf shops now in Tagazout, but like I said, if you're buying a board there, it's going to be heavily marked up compared to if you're getting it in California or Australia or even in Europe, Next up is the Philippines, and while the Philippines is a rapidly growing surf destination, getting your hands on a good stick will be a struggle. Since the country consists of thousands of islands, shipping surfboards is expensive and just unreliable. Additionally, custom fees can significantly increase the prices of surfboards as they have to be imported, and surf shops tend to either stock just soft tops or just lower quality, mass-produced epoxy boards to cater for the beginner market. While there are a few emerging local shapers, production is limited and these shapers often lack access to the best materials. Now, Sri Lanka is known for its fun waves and laid-back living, but high-performance surfboards are still pretty rare here. The local industry mainly caters to beginners, so soft tops basically dominate the scene. But things are changing in Sri Lanka, and a few local shapers do exist. But again, like other places on this list, they generally struggle to find top-quality materials. That finding a board that's really well made with high-quality materials is pretty difficult. Importing surfboards is also pretty costly, so quality fiberglass and resins are difficult to come by locally, which forces the shapers to rely on imported goods, which are really expensive and not always available. So yeah, if you're planning a trip to Sri Lanka, I definitely recommend bringing your own boards. There are like surf shops and ding repair places, so if you break your board, you have got somewhere to like fix dings and stuff, but they're not going to be able to, it's not going to be like world class, And like I said, things are changing in Sri Lanka. There's more surf shops springing up, and there are some surf shops in the major surf towns like Aragam and like down in like Weligama that stock surfboards, like proper surfboards, from renowned shapers. But again, because of the high import costs, these boards are going to be much more expensive than if you just buy them at home. So with the exception of Costa Rica, finding good surfboards in Panama, El Salvador, and especially Nicaragua is going to be a tough task. Import duties on boards can be steep, making it really expensive to buy a custom board locally. And again, for shapers, just getting the hands on the right materials in these sort of places is really difficult, and there's airline fees for bringing boards into these countries are notoriously high, so it deters many surfers from traveling with multiple boards. So although there's lots of surfers coming here, I find it's not one of those places where people come and like leave a load of boards and you've got like this like amazing like second-hand market, whereas in places like Bali or in Europe, it's really easy to get good boards second-hand. I'd say in most of Central America, apart from Costa Rica, because it's got kind of its own shops, it's a bit more legit. you'll struggle to find good boards. Again, one of the region's main limitations for board building is the limited access to premium materials. High quality foam blanks, fiberglass and resins are all pretty hard to get hold of here, and they all need to be imported, which obviously adds to the cost, and there's just delays, you know, in this part of the world, things don't get done that efficiently, so shipping process is unpredictable. So yeah, boards built here are often made with much lower quality materials. Next is Ecuador, and while Ecuador has a growing surf scene with great waves around like the hotspots like Montanita, the board market remains pretty underdeveloped. Most surf shops just stock beginner-friendly foamies, while high-performance options are scarce. Importing boards is also costly due to high import costs, and yeah, again, getting access to good blanks, good fiberglass and resins is really tricky for shapers. Finding good boards here is rare, but you know, a quality board's got to be imported, so it comes with a crazy high markup. So if you're going to Ecuador, I'd definitely recommend bringing your own surfboards. For me, it's always worth it just to have your board bag and have a few boards that you know that you like, or at least are good and you can surf on. You know, there'll be nothing worse than rocking up to one of these places with amazing waves and then just have to rely on some like battered, like yellow waterlogged thing from like the 90s. It's kind of just takes the fun out. It like defeats the point in going surfing. So yeah. So Indonesia has some of the best waves on the planet, but outside of Bali, you're really going to struggle to get good boards. So you know, if you're going to Sumbawa, Lombok, Ments, any of these kind of places, just definitely bring your own boards. It's worth copping the airline fees. That said, in Bali you can get really good surfboards. You know, Bali's got obviously a huge second-hand market. There's so many traveling surfers, people sell boards all the time. It's really easy to get boards on Facebook Marketplace and whatnot. There's also loads of surf shops with like proper boards in there. You know, they've got the Chili shop there. There's surf shops in Canggu and Ulus that stock all like the best known brands, you know. So yeah, if you're going to explore more remote parts of India, I'd recommend, you know, if you haven't got a good quiver already, going to Bali first, and then yeah, stocking up on good boards there and then going elsewhere. Getting boards in most of Indonesia comes with additional costs and high levels of complexity regarding bringing all the board building materials into the country. Import taxes are high, shipping delays are really common, so it's just a faff to build boards, particularly when materials are getting sent to more remote locations outside of Bali. The Maldives is obviously a dreamy surf destination, but if you need a new board, you're going to be out of luck. I think now there is one surf shop in Malé that have surfboards, but generally speaking, options are really, really limited. So importing boards is not only really expensive, but just due to the unique geography of the Maldives, you know, it's just thousands of islands. Getting boards and importing boards and materials is just going to be complicated anyway, and yeah, just a bit of a logistical nightmare. You know, some of the top resorts will have boards to rent, but generally these are catering to sort of more beginners and like mass-produced boards. Yeah, shipping all the materials into the country is costly, expensive, logistically pretty tricky, and again, import taxes and shipping costs really, really high, meaning that most boards that you find in the Maldives are either imported at significant markup or just built with lower quality materials. So yeah, if you're heading on a surf trip to the Maldives, just bring your own boards. It's just a no-brainer really. You don't want to be stuck with no boards in, you know, one of the dreamiest surf destinations in the world. Peru is home to some of the longest left-hand points. You know, there's so many sick waves there, wicked place to go. But outside of Lima itself, you're going to struggle to find really good surfboards. You know, Lima, obviously a massive modern city, you can get good boards there. It's got loads of surf shops and good local shapers. But once you venture outside of the capital, your options shrink considerably. A lot of these surf spots, you know, like Chicama, whatnot, they're really remote. So you know, getting good boards in those places is pretty tricky. So yeah, if you're heading to Peru for some left-hand point break action, definitely bring your own boards. While each of these destinations have really, really sick waves, I'd recommend bringing your own boards to all of them. You might get lucky and score something secondhand on Marketplace or meet somebody who's selling a board, but to be honest, it's just stressful to rely on that and then not to have a shop with like really nice boards and a lot of choice. So obviously California, like Southern California, is, yeah, the go-to, you know, that's where most boards are built. Gold Coast in Australia as well, really good boards, such like a range, it's where JS and DHD are based. And then like Europe as well, is pretty easy to get good boards. We can get good boards here in the UK, down in Hossegor and Peniche, those kind of places as well. So I'd say those 3 zones, if you live near or in proximity to them, get good boards there and then go on your surf trip. So yeah, hope you found this video useful. Any questions, please fire away down below. For now, it's goodbye from me, and I'll see you in the next episode.